Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm really excited today to introduce you to Maria Quattrone. She is the owner of Maria Quattrone and Associates at REMAX Home brokerage in Philadelphia. She's also the owner of Moto Mortgage, and she has 28 years of experience in real estate, and her team has closed over 2,700 transactions. So Maria's path to success is a windy one, like most people's. And I wanted to get her on the podcast today to learn about her journey and how she got to the point where she has the successful team that she does today and kind of what she learned along the way. The other thing that I really love about Maria is that she embraces diversity and she has a very diverse team. And I want her to explain why she feels that's such a good business decision and talk about how diversity has impacted her success in real estate. And then finally, I want to get some of her thoughts and insight on how do you successfully hire, train, and lead salespeople as you build your sales team. That is a big hot topic, and there are lots of landmines along the way as you grow and build a sales team. So really excited to get her insight into all of that. So without further ado, Maria, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa.
Well, let's start by getting a snapshot of your current team. So how many agents do you have? What does your admin staff structure look like? Kind of give us some insight.
So our team is made up of myself, of course, but we have an operations director as well as our broker of record because we own the brokerage. But she's also our lead listing partner and our broker who handles our commercial listings, as well as a marketing team, my executive assistant, our production team, which handles all of our contract to close and listing management, which is a huge thing. And we also have field services. In the real estate company, we have 12 agents currently and 8 onboarding next month. So that's exciting. And also in our mortgage company, we just opened in January and we have 2 loan officers currently.
Wow, you have a lot going on. That's amazing. And I am curious, how many of those admin staff do report directly to you? What does that structure look like?
So Eliza handles the operation side, so most things go directly to her. And then my EA reports directly to me. So basically, I guess 2 people at this point.
Perfect. I love that you said that.
Gosh, I forgot. We have our inside sales associate as well.
Fantastic. I want to dig into the inside sales because I get that question a lot. How do I structure that? What kind of expectations should we have around that? So we'll talk about that. So perfect. You have 2 key main reports and your operations person runs the operations of your business as it should be. I find too many agents have this very flat organizational structure where they have all these people reporting to them and then they become the bottleneck to like everything that happens on the team. So awesome. Now, I know that you do a lot of marketing and marketing is a really kind of big part of how you've grown your business. Can you kind of share some insight into some of the things that you guys do for marketing these days?
Well, I think that one of the most important things that we do is to speak with our database. And when I say speak with our database, I mean talk with them through marketing. So we have over 14,500 currently in the database. And weekly, we send either a weekly email with just words and pick graphics, or we do video. Video is something that I started doing quite a while ago. Then I stopped. And then about 3 years or so ago, we started to do that pretty in-depthly. We also have a podcast called Be the Solution. So that's part of our marketing mix, as well as billboards. We do Google. Let's see. I'd say direct mail is a really important part as well. I know a lot of people think that is probably in the Stone Age, but It's not. We get great results from that. But definitely something that you have to be consistent with. And it's hard, though, to be consistent with all of these things, right? Because they all cost a lot of money. And then you have to be able to roll with that until you get the results. Otherwise, you're like on and off and on and off. And then it becomes, are you wasting time and money? So we like to really...
No, go ahead. You like to really...
No, we like to focus on things that are going to get us results, not just today, but building that pipeline of business, because we know that for some sellers, it may take 2 years before they list their property. So once they're in our database, our funnel, we're talking to them. So when we call to follow up, even if it's 6 months later, because they said, oh, I'm not going to sell for 2 years, they know who we are because we've created that mind share in our database. And so when we call, they're not like, who's this? They're like, oh yeah, of course, Maria and her team. I get our videos. I see them, she had something on the news. I see them on a billboard. So it's all intertwined.
And I love what you said about it being a long game, and you have to be committed to it. When you ebb and start, you are just wasting money, right? Like there has to be consistency there. And that takes time to build. And like you said, it takes money. So I want to go back to the beginning. I want to kind of hear about your origin story and how you got where you are today. So when you started in real estate, did you know that you wanted to grow a team, or, did you go into it expecting to be, solo agent working for a brokerage?
So I started in 2004, and I was working in another industry at that time. And so I decided I was going to do this, but I was unsure exactly how or what it looked like. And then as I got into it, I knew that I was going to be a success in real estate, and I knew that I was going to have an admin and then a team immediately. So excuse me, I have a little hoarse voice today, but in February of 2005 is when I started my career full time, and I hired an admin by, I believe, like May, and then had a team within maybe a couple months after that. So it went rather quickly, but it was because I had generated a lot of business from answering phone calls, from following up with people, from actually doing the work. And because my last career was in marketing and advertising, I was an account executive for a group of radio stations. I already had that sales background and that sales training and the business acumen to start this business. I just didn't really know it at the time.
Well, and let's go back to that first assistant, because you and I started in real estate at about the same time. And I remember how foreign the concept of having an assistant was to a lot of agents, and brokers weren't really excited about their agents having an assistant. They were saying, no, we do all those things for you. You don't need this other person. What was that experience like for you when you brought this assistant into your office? And like, did you know how to work with an assistant when you got started with them?
So when I entered the industry, I thought it was the stupidest business I've ever seen in my life, the way that it operated. Because how can one person do all the different things in a real estate transaction? And no wonder it was such a mess. And no wonder people could only sell, 10 homes a year, because they were being they were trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I knew that my specialty was in sales and marketing and developing relationships. And that's what I wanted to focus on. And that's where I thrive. So I needed to get this assistant. Actually, I could not stand to do the paperwork. It gave me a lot of anxiety. And I wasn't able to keep everything all organized. So I required this. And in my last career, I did have an admin. We had this admin for a bunch of us salespeople. Maybe there was 10 of us, and we shared this person. Mm-hmm. And that's what I knew. I didn't know, how do I do a PowerPoint? I have no idea. Just give it to me and I'll go sell. So,
Right.
no, I mean, I knew how to work with them a little bit, but did I know how to manage that person? Absolutely not.
So you have this assistant, you know, you need them, you're learning how to be a manager as you go, right? And then you add salespeople to the mix rather quickly. Tell me what that was like. Did it go smoothly? Were there some bumps in the road? What happened?
In the beginning, well, one of the people was my sister,
Okay.
and she's still in the organization. So that had a little bit of bumps in the road because she was first in sales and then she was an assistant. So then she was working in the back office, doing contract to close, doing the listings. We were, pretty small back then, but small and mighty. And then I started to do expired listings, and we became not so small very quickly, and definitely had to hire some more people. So the team was, I think it evolves. I mean, for me, it has evolved. You have people in your business at a certain time, and they move on, you move on, and you bring a new group of people in. And, I ran the team at my old firm there for 8 years, and we were really successful. And then I left and started my own company. So then it's all reinventing yourself again. I don't know if anybody says there's very few people I know that have the same exact people that they did from day one. And that's okay if you do, and it's okay if you don't. Because guess what? We get to decide.
Right. You evolve, your team members evolve, people's needs change, and things, people grow. I think it's really naive. People say, I want to make this one forever hire. Well, you're going to change and they're going to change. And you might not change together. That's why people get divorced too, right? So it's okay to have people who come into your business at different points and add a lot of value, and then they transition out. And that's life, that's business, right? But having good foundational systems makes it a lot easier when people do transition out. So how have you worked with your administrative team to create systems that make it easier for you to add people and transition people out when they're no longer the right fit?
Oh gosh, we've had various levels of systems in place since I think year one. We even started with just checklists, literally a checklist, and went down, and it was a paper checklist. And we went down and all the boxes had to get checked off. It was as simple as that. But as you grow and scale and you use technology, you evolve. We use a couple different systems, Follow-Up Boss as part of checklists and action plans, as well as Brokerment, which we also have a different set of checklists in there because that's more transaction management. And then standard operating procedures. We have lots of different things we do, even from how to send a MailChimp out, how to send a newsletter out through MailChimp, how the video goes out to MailChimp, how that it actually is a mini JPEG that is posted to Facebook, and then it's put into the actual asset that goes out, right? And there's this whole program around it, but we've had to write extensive standard operating procedures from that. And then as new people come in, we share that, and they go through it, and they do it, and they learn. And we're not expecting, just read it and know it the first time. No, you can't just get into a car that you've never driven before and just start driving it without maybe looking at the manual for a second. It's the same idea.
Yeah, definitely. And how involved have you had to be in building those systems, or does your administrative team really take the lead on that?
So both. I have been involved with it because I am so tactical, and literally I'll write it all down. Even if I write it all down on a notepad and I hand it to you and say, type this up. And then other things, they're written by other people. But if it's from a marketing standpoint, or I even wrote an SOP about how to write a listing description. I have an entire SOP about how to write it. Every single little thing that needs to be included in it, because I was finding that people weren't including all the things that should be in there, like add the walk score. What's the neighborhood with inside the neighborhood? Always make sure that you have different locations of restaurants and what things are around there. Write this listing like you live in Seattle and you're coming to look for a home in Philadelphia. Can that person in Seattle understand that you're at the Ben Franklin Bridge and you get to see the fireworks every New Year's Eve? Mm-hmm. Now, if you didn't live here, you want to know that. So that's something that should be in that description. Mm-hmm. That's foreign to a lot of people because not a lot of people, agents actually go that in depth with their descriptions. But I think it's important, especially when you have relocation coming.
Right. And I love that you took the time to get that detailed with your SOPs because as you have more people and more listings and it gets bigger, you can really lose control over quality unless you've really clarified what your standards are. And what I hear you saying is that you have a very clear vision of how you want your clients to be treated, how you want your listings to be marketed and exposed. And you're going to hold your team to the standard that you've set. And by doing that, you're able to control the quality as you expand. Otherwise, it's chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have an SOP for how to answer the phone. And if this person says this, then they go there. And if they say that, then they go there. And it's actually 2.5 pages long. Wow. Because we've outlined, if an appraiser calls, if an inspector calls, if they call and they ask for Maria and they say this and they're a marketing call, what happens? And if they call and they say this, or if they're a seller call, or if they're a client, an active client, or if they're a referral. So there's so many different things. Otherwise, how would you be able to tell all these things to everybody that comes into the company?
Right. Exactly. Amazing. I love that you do that. I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about diversity because it's an important topic and not everybody really places enough, I think, emphasis on that in their hiring practice. So tell me why hiring a diverse group of staff and agents is important to you.
So I think a couple of things. One, I look at it from diversity of thought. So what does that mean? We want different people in our organization to bring different ideas in, to be able also to service different clients. So whether they're buyers or sellers or investors, we want to have representation. For example, we have an agent who speaks Spanish. And prior to this, we didn't have an agent that speaks Spanish, but we would have Spanish clients call us. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't converse with them because nobody in the company spoke Spanish. And so that to me was an unrepresented consumer. Mm-hmm. We've had many Spanish speaking clients call. And from my conversations with our Spanish agent, she has said, I talked with this client, that client, multiple clients. They called many real estate companies and they couldn't get through to anybody. Either they didn't call back, and when they did call back, nobody spoke Spanish. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that our community is served. And if a Spanish speaking consumer cannot find a Spanish speaking agent, how can they buy a house? Mm-hmm. Okay. And if they can't buy a house, how can they build generational wealth? Because we all know that building generational wealth comes from owning real estate for the normal consumer. And if you can own real estate and pass that real estate on to the next generation and teach them how to buy also a home, that's how we build equity. Let me give you an example. Last year nationwide, rents went up 18%. Prices went up nationwide 18%. If you're a renter, you're negative 36% today. That money's just going to somebody else's mortgage. So we want to ensure that people have an opportunity. And that comes with diversity and being able to serve the community.
Yeah, it's so important and it's so powerful. And I like what you said about diversity of thought. So we're not just talking about Black, brown, and all the rainbow, but also diversity of thought. Correct. And how does that impact the culture on your team or the way you manage your team when, you have lots of people who have different opinions, see things differently? What is that like for you as the leader of that team?
Well, we do something called a self-accountability group, and you opt into that. So you can do it or not do it. And then you see what you're committed to. And did you keep your commitment this week? And if you didn't, in all realm of possibility, could you have kept your commitment this week?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times it's yes. Do you want to recommit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. What are we committing to? What are we recommitting to? So it's self-managed accountability versus holding people accountable and feet to the fire. We're not going to do that. It doesn't work long term. I've tried.
Right. Okay.
And failed.
Fair enough.
And failed. So we have new ways of doing things. And that's all through coaching, training, and leadership training. And you know what? I don't have all the answers. I just try to be a little bit better every single day and move the needle a little bit forward. And some days it stays at the same spot. And other days it gets great. It goes really fast. And then other days it's just moving a quarter of an inch. But if I can just move it forward, even if it's a quarter of an inch every single day, success.
Yeah. Well, in our pre-call, you talked about how when you got into coaching later on, like I forgot what it was, the last 8 years or so, you said that really made a big difference because you were able to work on your skills and then also then in turn help develop the people on your team. How did coaching impact how you developed your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I coached with John Cheplack, and I started working with him about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
So about the first year or so, I just listened a lot and absorbed. And then the next year, a little bit more, and then started really focusing on building the team and building people and thinking about my job every day is to help that person get a little bit better. So I'm here to serve them, not for them to serve me. And if I can serve them, then they'll take care of the clients, and then they'll take care of me and everybody else in the organization. So I believe that it's important to start with a win and end with a thank you. So we go through in our weekly meetings, what was your win this week? And I say everybody has to have one. You have to have a win. You have to dig deep and find one if you can't find one.
Yeah.
And then end the meeting as, who can you thank in the organization that helped you this week? Because everybody wants acknowledgement. Everyone wants to feel like they're important, and everybody wants to win.
Absolutely. I love that ending with gratitude and recognition and celebrating wins. Well, and I think you speak to something that I wish more and more agents would do, which is understand that in order to build a business that's bigger than you, you have to build your skill set as a leader, because your job is to serve the people who show up every day to support you, right? And the real estate industry has horrible turnover. It's about a 50% admin staff turnover and real estate teams 50% a year, which is atrocious. And we can only blame so much of that on the admin hire, right? There's probably at least a 50% of the cause is on the leadership side. Oh, we have an echo. So I think committing to your own personal development as you grow a team is so important. And it shows up. You're such a great example of how your commitment to becoming a better leader and then therefore taking care of your team has paid dividends for you. So I wanted to highlight that.
Thank you. So, we know pretty quickly if somebody's going to fit in our environment or not.
Yeah.
And within a week, we could tell. And if somebody doesn't have the same work ethic, we just release them quickly. And that doesn't mean you can't do the work. It means that if we're not aligned, and it's very clear to see when somebody's in the position, if they're aligned or not, because there's not time to be texting friends all day, going out for walks, just leaving the office and the phone's ringing. It's, you gotta hire slow and fire faster. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about hiring salespeople. Talk to me about your approach to figuring out who's going to be a good fit on your team and what your process is to integrate them into your level, your standards and expectations for the people who work with you on your team.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eliza works a lot with that part of the process. But once we do bring them into the team, whether it's through our scholarship program or they're just joining the team, then we bring them into a 2-week sales training, which I call Rise in Real Estate Academy. And during those 2 weeks, we are going to train on mindset, time blocking, daily schedule, affirmations, learning scripts and dialogues, how to ask the right questions, tonality, personality types, how to write offers, how to get offers accepted, buyer strategy sessions, why to do them, what it looks like, mock buyer strategy sessions, setting appointments, going on that appointment, how to elevate your skills, how to write your 60-second elevator commercial, right? Mm-hmm. So all of these things are what we train on in the first 2 weeks. And by the end of the 2 weeks, especially for a newer agent, they're able to literally have set appointments for themselves because it's not just in classroom training. We're actually doing the work. We're doing that, setting the appointment, mock presentations, as well as creating that 60-second commercial. So when the time they're finished, they can hit the ground running.
Fantastic. That's amazing. It's a lot to cram into 2 weeks. That sounds like a serious boot camp. And is that the scholarship program?
Right now it's on.
Amazing. And so is that the scholarship program you were referring to?
Yes.
Talk more about that. So why did you create that and what does that look like?
So I have some colleagues through the country who were working on scholarship, and I thought that was a cool idea. And then I looked at the makeup of Philadelphia and then the makeup of real estate agents, and I thought, wow, this would be great if we could gear it towards women and minorities, Black and brown people, immigrants. And we launched it in late last year. So we're only about 3 months in, and we just have our third cohort. There's 5 of them in class right now. Mm-hmm. And giving back thing, it's, I don't know, it warms my heart because I'm listening to people from all walks of life, some coming from different careers, some that were stay-at-home moms. One of our new agents, he was sick for the last several years, and he's just coming out of that. And so he's re-entering the workforce. He has 3 children. And to be able to assist somebody in helping them build a real estate career and build the opportunity to help them and their families is just special to me.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned one woman who really knocked it out of the park, one of your scholarship attendees. Do you want to share that story?
Sure. Damiana joined us. She took the classes in December. And so she was in our January class. And now we're 2 months in. And I think she's written 6 or 7 executed leases and has about 5 active buyers she's working with. And in the process of wanting to learn about how to be a listing agent. So she's doing the work. She's putting it out there. And yeah.
And what was her background before she got?
She was an administrator.
Okay.
Yeah. She had a corporate job. She was making $43,000 a year. She quit and said, she believes in herself. So if you have the confidence, because we can't give you confidence, we can help build it. But if you don't have belief in yourself that you can do something, it's going to be really hard to do anything. Yeah, and I like that saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And so she is showing up and she is knocking it out of the park. And so what a wonderful win-win for you to have someone like that in your organization and also to be able to help somebody make such an important career transition and really just change her life and her family's life.
Yes. And she's also a contributor. So she'll come and speak to the new possible students and share her story. And she does it with a smile. She's grateful for me asking her to actually do it. Mm-hmm. So I love it. I love her. She's an amazing human.
I love that you're at this point in your career where you've had a long career, you've built, you've had challenges, you've gone through it. And now you're at this point where you have a business that runs without your constant oversight, right? You have an operations manager, you have agents that run, and now you're able to do things to really give back and kind of build a legacy for yourself. It must feel really good to look around and see where you are today.
It does. But, we always are striving for more because I don't know. And I said this to my friend list, a good friend and client. I said, why are we killing ourselves? We're successful. Why do we keep we put this stress on ourselves, and I'm just trying to figure out how can I just be in flow and not just do the work and not worry about it. And that's hard to do. And you got to focus on doing that. And so I start to meditate. I need to do more meditating, but I just do it I use my headset, my Bose headset and YouTube. YouTube's my friend.
Yeah.
And this past month, we stopped eating sugar.
Bless you. That was hard, right? That's like coming off heroin. It's no joke.
Oh my gosh. I have ice cream in the freezer right now. Nobody would know if I ate a teaspoon, but I would know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody would know if I took a little icing off that little piece of cake there. But I would know.
Oh, man.
That has been one of, it's 30 days. I did a 31-day challenge. It's 30 days today. And I'm going to continue to do it till Easter. We'll see what happens Easter, if I eat the Easter egg or not. But I am committing it to 2 more weeks. And maybe it'll be longer, but I feel pretty good. More than that, the awareness of how many times we just go to reach for something. And so, it might sound crazy, but it's bigger than just not eating the sugar. It's this awareness about, we go through life on autopilot, and we don't even know that we just ate a piece of chocolate. It was there, and we just picked it up, and it was a tiny piece, but we popped it in our mouth. Or you have a mint in your pocket from a restaurant. You grab some mint, you have a mint, and you unwrap it and you pop it in your mouth. And before you know it, you're like, oh my God, that was sugar. But we don't even think about it. So it was the awareness of not going in and having a scoop of peanut butter that might have had sugar in it, or, a tiny piece of chocolate, or a spoonful of ice cream, or a little bit of icing from a piece of cake. All these things have been in front of me for every single day for the last 30 days. And I've refrained from it. And so,
good for you. That's amazing.
I don't know.
That's not cool. Easy. Yeah.
I don't know that I have refrained from sugar any other time in my life for a month. I'm not eating I wasn't sitting around eating donuts all day, but I would have a piece of chocolate, dark chocolate at night, or anyway. So that's a whole new thing.
That's awesome. So what else is new for you? What's next for you, or what else do you have on the horizon?
Well, I'm focusing on growing the company with agents and more staffing, and building the Motto Mortgage Expert Solutions brand, as well as we purchased a franchise. We insure. So we insure Expert Solutions. We're going to open that in the next, hopefully 30 days, hopefully not more than 60 days, but that's in process of happening. We're just right now recruiting to that company. So we already are not open, but working on getting open. So, and we're doing a joint venture with a title company, focusing more on doing more podcasts, being on more podcasts, doing more marketing, doing more education for the real estate community. What else? I love to write a book. That's on my list.
Yeah.
Self-published, and also help others do that, because I think a lot of people should write books. Do you have a book?
I don't. It's on my bucket list as well.
You should do a book.
Yeah.
That would be great. That'd be great for your business.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's lots of things. There's a few other things, but I don't want to scare anybody because
it's already a big list.
I'm a bit of a nut.
No, I love it. Well, I can't wait to check in with you in a few years and talk to you about your book and see what else you've created since then. You are on a roll. Thank you so much, Maria, for taking time to chat with me today. I think this was such a wonderful conversation, a great insight into, what it looks like to grow a business to this point, and the time and the effort that goes into getting where you are today. I think it's important to honor and recognize that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm humbled and grateful for the opportunity, and I wish you the best. And when I get this book together, I am going to reach out and let you know how we did it.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Cheers.